Hello, my name is Joao Rodriguez. I am the chairman of the Factum, the European Draft Horse Federation, and it is my great pleasure to be here today in this incredible event focused on animal traction. Today, I'll be talking about animal traction in Europe in the 21st century, challenges, threats, and opportunities. But before starting the presentation, I would like to introduce Factum. Factum stands for Fédération Européenne de Cheval de Trait pour la Promotion de son Utilisation, in its original French name, and it was established in 2003 when seven organizations met for the first time in Luxembourg and create this umbrella organization. Today, Factum, 18 years later, represents the animal traction sector in Europe and has 20 active members from 15 European countries, representing more than 35,000 individuals from the membership lists of members associations. So after this brief introduction about Factum, I would like to start to show you where animal traction is nowadays used in Europe. I think it's important that we have a general view before we start talking about challenges, threats, and opportunities. So when we talk about animal traction in Europe, we need to talk about forestry management, agriculture, where it's included the viticulture, the wine production, urban management, and tourism. In terms of forestry, I think it's important to say that we all observe a growing concern about nature conservation, preservation of the soil, or low impact management methods, especially in protected areas. And I think these concerns somehow boosted the use of animal traction in many different parts of Europe when talking about forestry. And I think it's important to say that the work in forestry is not limited to traditional logging, but also often relies on combined techniques and newly developed equipment. I'm going to show you some examples here, with the first example being the use of animal tracking to manage a riverbank. Riverbanks are very delicate, are fragile ecosystems, and bringing heavy machinery into such an environment can cause massive problems. So animal traction here is being used as a very interesting alternative. And just another example of a draft horse being used to manage sand dunes. As you can imagine, sand dunes are just another good example of a very sensitive ecosystem. So once again, bringing heavy machinery is not an option. So animals are being used here. And going back to what I said about technology, as you can see in this picture, we have a draft horse that is not actually pulling directly the logs, but is using a series of vehicles. That is a small forecart attached to the animal, and then a series of logging arches. And the good thing about this technology is that the same animal can actually carry bigger logs without exerting a higher effort, which is important from the welfare, the animal welfare point of view. But also this technology, the good thing is that even smaller equids, such as donkeys, can use similar technology to be able to work in a proper way, in an efficient way, without overloading the animals or disrespecting their dignity or physical limits. And this is something really, really important. And here we have market gardening, another example, the use of draft horses for small-scale agriculture and horticulture. This is of course a challenge because the people that use animals to work, due to the nature of this small business, they usually need to be the farmers, but it also needs to be the sellers. So most of this small-scale business, they rely on a relation of trust between the farmer and the consumers, and that can be an additional challenge for those who need to produce but also sell their products. But once again, I think this is really remarkable, is that when we see books appearing, such as this really nice book written by Clémentine Bonin, Pascal Sachot, and Philippe Rochet back in 2019, talking about the line maraîchère, the use of donkeys for gardening, we believe that this proves and this shows there is an increased interest. And for example, here you have on the left you have a Poitou donkey, and on the right you have a Zamorano Leonese donkey, a Spanish breed, well, a French and a Spanish breed. And this is an area, for example, where donkeys may play an important role, especially these European big breeds of donkeys. So this is a really another interesting area where animal traction is being used in Europe. And of course, the use of animal traction for wine production. Recent studies show that the use of animal traction has a very positive impact in terms of soil conservation, not compacting the soil, and with much better results when compared with tractors. But at the same time, those same studies show that the plants started to produce earlier, so we have not only a better wine and grapes quality, but also productions that start earlier. So animal traction is being used as a very interesting tool for wine production, both in France, as this picture, but in many different parts of Europe as well. And management of urban surroundings is another interesting area. We can see animals being used in collecting glass or litter or paper. We can see animals being used in park management. We can even see animals being used in the transport of school children, and that's really interesting. And it's, again, France, it's a very good example, because it seems that more than 300 French cities and towns regularly or occasionally rely on horses and other animals, such as donkeys in this picture, for a whole range of different services needed in urban surroundings. So this is really interesting. And in 2003, these French towns and cities, they even come together in an organization, in a national network that is called Cheval Territorial. In this picture here, you can see the Ville de Trouville-sur-Mer in Normandy, in the northern part of France, where they are using a native French breed, a Poitou animal, being used for urban management of a small park with this small forecart in the back. And the last example is the use of animals in tourism. We know that there is a huge tradition in many different towns and cities of Europe of use animals to pull carriages, but mainly what we've been observing is the use of animal traction, mainly in a sustainable tourism in mountain areas. And this is actually been as a potential asset to fixate population. And here, once again, working animals can, when I say population, is human population, of course, and once again, here working animals can play an important role. So after this very brief explanation where animals are being used in Europe, I would like to start and show you some of the challenges. And the reason why I wrote here challenges / threats is because those challenges, if not addressed properly, they can become threats. So let's see some of the challenges animal traction is actually facing in the 21st century in Europe. And I would like to start by talking about the image of work with animals. It is important to keep in mind that the overall perception of animal traction very slowly changed over the last 30 years in Europe. And work with animals is still by many people considered, on some of them see it as something nostalgic, some of them see it as something inefficient, some of them see it as something static or even obsolete. And in some respects, on the other side, we also have people seeing this as a modern, eco-friendly and sustainable option. But improving the profile of working with animals is still a big challenge nowadays. Another challenge, and probably the biggest challenge that can easily become a threat, is the fact that animal traction does not fit in the current economic system we have in place. And I think this is really, really important. There is absolutely no doubt that animal energy, it is a renewable source of energy. We have no doubt about it, but it cannot be transformed in a way that it could be stored, distributed or sold out with the help of the existing technical system. Animal power simply does not fit into our economical frame based on large investment, big business and dependency of the customer. So right now, yes, animal traction is a renewable energy, but just puts this renewable energy exactly in the same level of the existing, these modern renewable energies, such as the electric energy, the wind power, the solar power, is very, very complex and may represent a truly challenge and of course a threat for the future of animal traction. Another challenge identified by many of the users, the professional ones, but also the new ones, is the capacity to have access to professional manufacturers, both of implements and harness. And we realized that was a challenge. Most of these manufacturers, they sell on a small scale, they sell more locally, so sometimes it's very difficult to find, if we are in a country in Europe where there are no professional manufacturers, implements or harness, sometimes it's very difficult. So actually the Factum, together with two UK charities, the Donkey Sanctuary and World Horse Welfare, we started a project that is called the Equid Power Network. And one of the main tasks of this Equid Power Network is to create a database, a comprehensive database that brings together all manufacturers from all over the world. Please take a look to this webpage right now. This is a work in progress, of course, but right now, if you go to equidpower.org and then you go to manufacturers, you will see that we have a list with more than 130 manufacturers from more than 20 different countries. So please use this resource. It is an incredible resource, both for professional users, but also for new users who want to look for what is available in the market. So this is a good example where a challenge became an opportunity and not a threat. Another challenge is related with training, and for years and years it was difficult to find where to receive proper training. Luckily, over the last 10 to 15 years, there is an increased offer in terms of training, mainly organized by Factum members, but it is true that you also can see some or a few agricultural school and institutions also providing some training. Although not only training was a challenge, but finding well-trained horses is also another challenge. We need to keep in mind that the training process, it is a time-consuming process, it is a complex process, and especially for new beginners, they need to rely on another professionals, those who deliver the training for the horses, and that's not easy to find. Well-trained horses are not easy to find. And apart from that, we need to keep in mind that the selection in the breeding process, especially in some horse breeds, European horse breeds, was determined by meat production over a long time, and imported characteristics such as conformation or the head of the animals was actually neglected. And another challenge, of course, is the fact that we need to find a way and we need to find a strategy to see animal traction being included in national and international development strategy. Factum is trying its best. We represent the sector, but we have very limited funds and very limited human resources. We are always looking for partnerships and trying to be creative. There are some good examples where actually animal traction was used as part of national development strategies. You can see some really interesting documents published by the government of Luxembourg and Germany as well, 2005 and 2009, focused on sustainable forest management. But I would say that they are isolated initiatives, and would like to see this happening on a more European level. So this is, of course, a big challenge for us. But the challenge I just mentioned takes another dimension if you look in detail to different realities inside Europe. And for example, taking Romania as an example of what is happening in the eastern part of Europe, Romania is a country with probably the higher number of working equids or horses in Europe, with official numbers pointing to 700,000 working horses. And we have local authorities who are not supportive at all of the use of working animals, and that of course increase this challenge that I just mentioned to put animal traction as part of national and international development strategies. And then of course we have this animal rights movement that are always trying to depreciate the use of animal traction. We see everyday campaigns from fundamentalist animal rights activists asking to totally ban the use of working equids. We try our best to use good arguments to explain the benefits of working animals, but sometimes to have a conversation, you need to have at least two that are able to listen, that are able to talk, and sometimes it's very difficult to reach and to establish a conversation with people who have a more fundamentalist approach. So this is another challenge that we face, of course. And we reach the final part of my presentation, focus on the opportunities. And the upcoming scientific interest that we observe over the years is, of course, an incredible opportunity for animal traction. We can see technical skill individuals, draft animal association, welfare charities, as well as technical institutions and agricultural departments in universities showing a new interest in research on issues linked to the use of working equids. So here you can see, for example, on the left, these diagrams illustrating the draft force using during a pulling effort. This work done by Paul Schmidt in Luxembourg. But for example, on the right, you can see this is a very interesting swingle tree where the load cell and the data logger, all the equipment was shrink into a swingle tree, so it will not interfere with the action of the animals. This is a joint project of the Donkey Sanctuary with the Portuguese University, the Polytechnic Institute of Bragança. So as you can see, all the use of thermal cameras, all the use of pressure pads. So actually we are actually observing a lot of technology happening, mainly focused on animal welfare, and this is something remarkable. And here you have another excellent example coming from the mountain areas of Switzerland, where an electric engine was attached or was adapted to an animal cart vehicle. So basically, on the way down, the braking system will produce electrical energy that is going to be stored in a battery system. So on the way up, when animals are going uphill, this engine will help and support the efforts of the animals. Apart from the scientific interest, and as I said before, the creation of partnerships is seen by the Factum as an excellent opportunity for us to reach our common goals. And we recently joined the Working Animal Alliance. This is a very interesting alliance. Here you have the webpage, workinganimalsalliance.org. And the idea of this alliance is this is no more than a strategic coalition of stakeholders seeking to raise awareness of the contribution working animals make towards achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So this is an excellent opportunity to bring working equids into the international agenda and show their importance to reach what the United Nations assume as the most important goals to 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals. So this, being part of this coalition, for example, is an excellent opportunity for us all together to promote and to show the importance of working equids, not only in Europe, but worldwide. So as final slide and looking into the future, still in the 21st century, but looking into the future, we believe there is a growing general awareness for energy issues, renewables, ecological alternatives, but also we can see that traditional options are getting more attention. And this is a social context that in some aspects is favorable to work to animal traction. And on the other page, we can also see small farming being recognized. Once it was part of the problem, and today is being recognized as a fundamental contribution to feeding the world. And again, we believe that having well-organized teams, people working and promoting the use of animal traction, showing how viable these animals are in market gardening, in the vineyards, but also in the forest and also in the urban surroundings, as I just show some of the examples. We believe that this can bring a bright future for animal traction in Europe. And thank you very much for your attention. I'll be here to answer any question. Thanks for the opportunity to be here today with you. Thanks for the opportunity to show a little bit what is happening in Europe and give Factum the opportunity to join you in this conference. Muito obrigado.